The recent Kenya protests are a warning that the International Monetary Fund (IMF) is failing. The public does not think it is helping its member countries manage their economy and financial problems, which are being exacerbated by a rapidly changing global political economy. Truth be told, the money IMF is giving these people is to buy the economic freedom of these countries, to manipulate, to control the economic policies in this country. IMF itself is in business because every business owner wants to make money, make profit out of their money. But it's quite a pity that they are going to the extent of then forcing or implementing indirectly the economic policies in this country, taking away the economic freedom of these countries who are borrowing money from them. So that is the only place I see, in my opinion, that IMF is getting it wrong, because you can borrow people money without forcing your economic policies down their throat in return to control their economies. But this is where the African leaders, the citizens of Africa, have to blame their leaders, because you can borrow money and then still dictate or meet the so-called IMF in the middle, because some of these leaders don't know, or some of them they know, they pretend they don't know, because of their desperation to do this money away out of their home countries. Because the interest rate which IMF is giving borrowing money to Africa has the highest interest rate compared to other continents. You can go and check it. So, and why are they giving Africa the highest interest rate? Because by so doing, most of these countries won't be able to pay back these loans, and in return IMF will have total control over their economies for years, and by controlling their economy, they control their country, they control their people. That is just the truth. To be sure, the IMF is not only cause of Kenya's problem with raising the funds to meet its substantial debt obligations and deal with its budget deficit. Other causes include the failure of the governing class to deal with corruption, to spend public finances responsibly, and to manage the economy that produces jobs and improves the living standards of Kenya's young population. So it means that Kenya's problems are diverse. Corruption is one of the biggest problems of IMF. That is one. And two, it equally means that they don't manage public finances properly, and they don't manage economy that produces jobs and improves the living standards of Kenya. So Kenya have a large contributes mainly part of their problem, not just the IMF. The country has also been harmed by drought, floods, and locust infestation in recent years. So drought, floods, and locust infestations equally contributed to Kenya's problem. The IMF has provided financial support to Kenya, but the financing is subject to tough conditions which suggest that debt obligations matter more than the needs of long-suffering citizens. So you see the point? They provide support, but the financing is subject to tough conditions which suggest that debt obligations matter more than the needs of long-suffering Kenya citizens. That is always the problem. Yes, in Africa, debt services on average exceeds the combined amounts governments are spending on health, education, climate, and social services. So the only way, in my opinion, that most African countries can manage to come out of this borrowing from IMF is by them, first and foremost, renegotiating their debts. And in the future, leaders that are people orientated, what I mean by that is leaders that care about, naturally and truly care about their people, who have already made their own money, are in power, not people who are coming to use power to enrich themselves, are in power. And as long as any help that is not coming to any African country within the shores of Africa is just only there to enslave that country's economy, is just there to enrich the people that are bringing in these monies. That is just the truth, because no business person will give you their own money without wanting to make interest.